second Fredcast. See my buddies in the back here. Hope they don't scare you. So this topic today is going to be about an overview of the core competencies, so everybody kind of gets a general idea. Most people know already, but some of the younger teachers, non-certs, and people who've been too busy to take a closer look, this is meant to help. And the second video will be about how to use My Blueprint and an app called ClassPass to quickly load student evidence and self-assessment into their My Blueprint accounts. It's so easy. Once you see it, you'll realize that so much of what you're doing in your class with your students when it comes to self-assessment will be exciting, because they'll be able to quickly upload some of the work that you think is important and they think into their accounts. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you and just show you some things that we're going to do. First of all, in the curriculum, core competencies are listed. Here we are on the home page. You go to BC New Curriculum, and the competencies are there. There's a whole page on them and links showing you the core competencies, an overview, and then you can go to unpacking it. You can look at different ones. Let's say if you want to go to thinking, it'll again take you back there, and each of them have kind of different profiles and illustrations. Here's a whole bunch of examples from the internet that they've been loading in to give you some ideas about how you might use the core competencies in your class. There's a connections, almost like prompts or suggestions where you can use the core competencies. So they're part and parcel of the curriculum now, and I'm going to just delve a little bit deeper into where they are and where the resources are. And in the shared folder, again, if you go to teachers, if you go to new curriculum folder, you will see new curriculum support. You'll see, again, among a myriad of other folders full of information you could use depending on what class you're teaching, there is a whole section on core competencies. And so some of the ones I want to refer to today, I want to look at the updated handout that I'm using. I want to use the updated one-pager that we've talked about, writing prompts, which are useful, and I want to show you basically the province's explanation of core competency and how it's meant to be used. So let's start here. Core competencies involve student self-assessment and reflection in a more overt way. Old dog teachers like me or veteran teachers know that we've been doing core competencies all along, but now it's a more explicit process. And certainly in the Dylan William workshops and in Sandra Erbst, for example, Assessment for Learning, it's really all about student self-reflection, self-assessment. And this document from the ministry outlines the core competencies and where they play a role in the process of students learning. And the guidelines are here, you know, through ongoing opportunities. And so we're going to do a one-day thing in May or June, but really we should be doing it all the time in our classes, just as a casual conversation, or even more explicit, where you say, okay, get out the document I gave you and let's take a closer look at this particular core competency that we're focusing on as it comes out in the curricular competency. So again, here are the communication, thinking, it's all laid out here. And this is what I'm quite excited about, is the idea of documenting the evidence of learning that's going on from students. And it could be any number of things as listed here, right? Projects, poems, videos, equations, collages. Any of this can be loaded quickly, as I'll show you in the second video, into their My Blueprint account. And so you have evidence, the child has evidence, and the parents can log in because they can be included in their child's account to see what their child is learning and how they're learning and how they're self-assessing. Now, why we're doing this? Basically, we are expected to do this. If you follow along here, the Student Progress Report Order 2016 for students in K to 9 requires a student self-assessment on core competencies at the end of the school year. So this has been happening at the K to 9 level, and that's why kids coming into this school will know what you're talking about when you talk about core competencies, when you go through a process where you get them to do some self-assessment. As lifelong learners, students in grades 10 to 12 continue their ongoing reflection and self-assessment of the core competencies. They apply this self-assessment and learning journey documentation to their capstone as part of career education and graduation requirements. And that's a key concept for us to understand, that when a child loads all their evidence into their account, they're basically building their capstone project, which is a presentation in grade 12. And Careers 12 teachers and Careers 10 teachers are basically preparing students along this road already. And most of the students will already know about the app and the QR code process, but I'll explain that to you in the second video, which makes uploading documentation super easy. Now, some of the handouts I referred to here already are listed and shown in, where'd they go? For example, this is one I'm using in my class this year. This is an updated core competencies handout from the ministry, and this is a great overview of what each one represents. And the thing about core competencies is that they're built into the curriculum. So when I show you this document, which is a little hard to read, but it's arts education, drama, you see the core competencies are underpinning all the curriculum. You've got the big ideas up here. Here's communication. Here's thinking. Here's thinking, communication, personal and social, and right, big ideas, curricular competencies, which are skills, the content that you're using to draw out those competencies. And that's the idea behind this this process, that we are in fact using these every day in our teaching. And it's our process now to have kids reflect on that. So this handout that I'm using gives more guiding prompts, right? Talk about things, and in another video I'm going to go into this in more detail. Glows and grows, which I like with kids, and then just more room for kids to write stuff down. Remember, when you want to put it into my blueprint, it should be written into a digital document, so typed into one of the forms I've shared with you, and you can share. I like this one, my learning log. What did you learn today? You know, these are used in the AFL world as often entrance and exit tickets, and they're just good ways for kids to engage in a self-assessment thought process. So these are all useful things. Writing prompts, here's a more extensive list of writing prompts if you want to use these. The I can statements, so-called. I can do this, I can self-regulate, I can creatively think, and here's an example of how I creatively thought. And this doesn't have to be an arduous process. In fact, it should be one really that we just encourage, and you know, through the one pager, which we're hopefully going to be using in May. You see here that list of glows and grows, but also evidence that kids can load into their My Blueprint process. And of course, it all ties back to the curriculum. When you look at a class, for example, if we look at the curriculum and you say take a Math 10 and you take a look at it, you'll see that the core competencies are at the top of every page. You can click on them if you want examples, how they might be used in that particular class, and applying them through the curricular competencies, which are the skills, and then the content, which is the content. It becomes kind of a loop that we're constantly referring to. So this has been a general overview of the curriculum and around core competencies, and I'm hoping that you will see that it's not as difficult as you think to work on these things. Now, in another video, I'm going to go into what I'm doing and sort of encouraging you to start thinking about specific types of assignments or work that you're doing in class that could lend itself well to self-assessment. And again, I'm not perfect at this by any stretch. I'm learning this as you're learning it, maybe a little further ahead because I'm trying more of it, but other teachers are trying it. I know Earl, Ashley, Becky, and others, and they're developing their own systems around this, talking to kids either individually or getting processes underway. So the next video is going to be about how to easily document the work that's going on in your class. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next video.